Hi, we are on part 3 of this 3-part series. If you missed 1 or 2, you can always click the card here or the link below. Let's head on with number 11. Fake feelings. Ever wonder why things escalate in a discussion? You may unknowingly be provoking others. You think you're talking about yourself, but what they hear is an attack because what you've said is actually an accusation. Watch out for these sneaky pseudo-feelings. They are, in effect, passive-aggressive allegations. Here's what I mean. With reference to another person, I felt betrayed translates to, you betrayed me. I felt disrespected translates to, you disrespected me. I felt neglected. The other person hears this as, you neglected me. I felt criticized translates to, you criticized me. I felt pressured. What they hear is, you pressured me. I felt manipulated. The other person hears, you manipulated me. Even though we present them as such, none of these are true feelings. They're thoughts, just like we talked about in point 8. This is why it's so important to differentiate thoughts versus feelings. And I'm focusing on this particular kind of thought because it does sound so much like a true feeling, and that's the key to its insidious nature and why we have to look out for them. And not only is it a thought, but it's a judgment. This is not an objective account of what went on or what is going on, and it's not a core emotion of yours either. It's an evaluation of another person's actions. And why is this important? Well, I promise you, so long as you're talking about your own experience, your true feelings, and objective reality, you are safe. Beyond that is dangerous territory. Let's play one out. You just finished painting the living room and your roommate comes home. Oh, is it finished or are you gonna do another coat? She doesn't think it looks good enough already? Geez, I just spent all day on this. Talking about it later. Are you okay? You've been quiet all evening. I just felt criticized earlier. It wasn't the reaction I was hoping for, after spending all day working on our shared apartment, my day off. Wait, what? I never did that. Why is it 24/7 drama with you? Or, are you okay? You've been quiet all evening. I have been. I felt a little frustrated earlier. When you came home and asked if I was doing another coat of paint, I just felt down after that because I was hoping you would come home and be excited to see what I did. I think I was probably looking for a little bit more recognition for the amount of work I put in. Girl, you did put in so much work. I know that, and I really appreciate it. I was thinking that in my head. I didn't realize I didn't say it out loud. And my comment about the second coat of paint was just because I was thinking about moving the furniture back in. It was totally benign in my head. I didn't realize it came across that way. I'm so sorry. What can we learn from this? If you let sneaky pseudo-feelings, I just want to always call them sneaky. If you let pseudo-feelings sneak out, the other person is going to hear an attack. And guess what? That which you're accusing them of is going to get most of their attention because pain and/or combativeness has been triggered. And it's fair that their focus shifts. In nature, when something comes to attack us, it becomes paramount that we defend ourselves. Sometimes that even means striking back. It's basic self-preservation, so you can't fault them for survival instinct. But while they're on the defensive or offensive, it's going to be hard, almost impossible for them to hear anything you're saying. Let's work through a couple more. Instead of saying, I felt betrayed, go deeper. What are the real feelings underneath that thought? Maybe I felt heartbroken and lost. I felt shocked and angry. Instead of saying, I felt disrespected, go deeper. What are the real feelings underneath that thought? I was furious. I felt embarrassed. Here's a list of some pseudo-feelings and possibilities of real feelings beneath them. Feel free to pause the screen and read through. It's a good rule of thumb to be wary of ed ending verbs in combination with your experience of another person. It doesn't apply 100% of the time, but as you can see, it does apply to most in this list. Here's also a snapshot of some true feelings. This is a good reference guide. These are safe to say because they're not judgments of another. I don't want to bash pseudo-feelings. There is place for them. They're really helpful in pointing us towards our true feelings. Just be sure to point them towards yourself and not another person. Change. If the current way you're communicating isn't yielding progress, change the method. Instead of texting, call. Instead of talking on the phone, meet in person. Rather than a one-on-one conversation, incorporate a mediator. If talking isn't working, write the other person a letter or an email that they can read on their own time. Switch from your regular location. For instance, spouses move from a house full of distractions and hiding places to the park. With a coworker, move from a sterile work setting to a cozy cafe. With a friend, move from a loud restaurant to a quiet parked car. Are you or the person you're talking to hungry, tired, or mentally preoccupied? Take care of these needs first before continuing, or they'll only be a distraction. Is your physical position serving your message or getting in the way? Being both in the front seats of your car might feel more comfortable for some harder conversations. It doesn't require eye contact, and that lessens the intensity. Plus, there are plenty of things on the road to divert attention if needed. However, for other conversations, this setup is an impediment as it doesn't allow for the intimacy of eye contact and free touch. As another example of positioning, I used to detest when my parents would sit me down to talk 2 against 1 style, them facing me. I felt powerless and in turn emotionally closed myself off. Our natural survival defensiveness is triggered when we're put in such a position of vulnerability. Leading versus openness. Instead of asking leading questions or making judgments, ask questions with more openness. It's the difference between, what's wrong with you? Are you pissed? Are you tired? Are you being grumpy because you're hungry? Versus, how are you feeling? Guessing can be appropriate at times, but when in doubt, keep it open, otherwise you may offend or influence. Check in. Check in about what you're sharing and what whomever you're speaking with is sharing with you. So often we have knee-jerk reactions to pacify or maybe to tell the other person how your day was worse. Another common one is often when hearing someone's issue, we jump right into fixing mode and bombard them with strategies. Have you ever experienced this? Opening up to someone and just been hurled with unsolicited advice? What's the problem with this? Well, if it's not what the other person is after, they're not going to hear it, and it might even make things worse. Consider that they might just want a friend to listen and empathize with them. If you're not certain what they would like, ask, what are you needing right now? How can I help? Did you want to brainstorm strategies? If you need to vent about that, go ahead. I'm here in all ears. What would be the most supportive thing for you right now? Also check in as a sharer. You have to really know yourself to do this. I just finished this poem. I kind of wanted to share it with you. I'm feeling really vulnerable right now though, so I'm not really looking for criticism. I just want to kind of share in the excitement of doing something creative today. Honey, I just bought this dress. I'm really excited about it. I kind of want to give you a fashion show. Would you be willing to keep the questions like about the price and the practicality to the side? I'm just in a space where I'm feeling really good about how I look in it, and I'd love for you to just meet me there. Fantasy. Sometimes when we want something, we can get caught up in explanation. We could, however, make a shortcut. The secret is stating your ultimate goal up front. What comes to mind for me is one time when I was blanket shopping. Yes, I love textiles. Oh my gosh. So there were a few blankets in the store that I really liked, and I knew I wanted one, at least one, but I didn't know how I was going to go with my decor exactly because, lighting, and it was just really hard to choose because they were all so beautiful, and I was having trouble articulating what I really wanted, and I just had a moment where I stopped and said, Kat, what would be your fantasy? And my fantasy would be, I would love to take all of these home and see what they look like with my paint color in the lighting of my house, and then whatever ones I don't want, I can just bring back. And instead of being super complicated about it, I just addressed the salesperson directly and said, you know what my fantasy is? Would it be possible if I could take all of these, I'll give you some collateral, and I'm gonna bring them home. My home is around the corner, and I'm gonna see what they look like. That way I can really know which one's perfect, and I'll be back in an hour. Keep in mind, whenever you're asking for anything, there has to be a willingness to hear no, which I was totally prepared for. But you know what? This woman was so nice, and it all worked out. I got my blanket. She actually made multiple sales. So it was a really good learning experience for myself, because otherwise I would have just been standing in the store saying, I don't know, maybe could I buy one, and then what's your return policy? Could I bring it back? And then I would get another one, and what are your out? It would have just been too messy. And another example that comes to mind is when I was kind of on the receiving end of that, because I'm also a salesperson and the shop I work in sells dishware. And I had a customer come in and she was trying to describe what she wanted. Yeah, I'd like a dish like this big, and maybe it could be maybe like tin or metal this deep, and then ceramic would be all right. I'm just not sure how to describe the shape. And I just had to cut her off and say, what's your ultimate goal? What would you like to use the dish for? And she said, I want it for condiments so I can put it on my table. So simple. Another example is something that I think is more of a social norm when you're hanging out with someone. It's like, oh, do you want to grab a bite to eat, or do you want to go for dinner? I know it's so common to base time together around food, but for me, when I'm hanging out with someone, I really like to just focus on them and us and talking or nature. So in the past, sometimes when I've heard that invitation, oh, hey, do you want to grab lunch? Instead of making excuses and trying to explain it like, oh, well, I already ate, or I have plans later to eat, or where would we go? Would that be good for you? Or I'm not sure I really want that right now. I found it so liberating to check in with myself and ask, what do I really want? And then share that with the other person. What is my dream desire? I really just want to connect with you uninterrupted. I would love if we could go sit in the park. That sounds so cheesy. And then what is this? This is from the 90s phone. In summary, if somebody else knows your ultimate goal, they can assist you in getting there. And I've found too, people are so much more receptive when you present your idea in this way because they have dreams too, and so they naturally empathize and want to support. It's helpful to them too because it's so much clearer when you present your ideas in this way. You're not getting caught up in the windy road of the how and why, dragging them along. Instead, you're just showing them the destination. We've now completed Kat's communication series and are cured of any and all future conflict. Just kidding. I don't think it's possible to be completely conflict-free so long as we're humans relating with humans, but we can get closer and closer for sure. The right tools make all the difference, and practice makes all the difference. I really encourage you to watch through the videos a couple times and make a deliberate point to try out these tips. It's one thing to understand something intellectually, but it's a whole other challenge to bring it out in the world. If you liked this video, let me know by dropping a like, and I welcome all your questions and feedback down below. I will be back next week with another video, and in the meantime, I'll see you on Instagram.